This video exists for one reason: awareness. What you are about to witness is not sport. It is not performance. It is not entertainment. These techniques were designed for survival. They are extremely dangerous and must never be used outside professional supervision or genuine, life-threatening self-defense. Because once executed correctly, the damage is not gradual. It is immediate, and sometimes irreversible. There are techniques so dangerous they were never allowed inside competition. Not because they required superhuman strength, not because they looked violent, but because they targeted something far more fragile, something the body cannot protect. Ancient martial artists did not see the human body the way modern fighters do. They did not see muscle. They saw systems. They saw invisible pathways carrying signals that kept a human being alive, moving, and conscious. They understood a truth most people never realize. The body does not move because it is strong. It moves because it is connected. Every movement you make begins as an electrical signal inside your brain. That signal travels through your spinal cord. It moves through delicate nerves, and only then your muscles obey. Your strength was never in your muscles. Your strength was in your nervous system. Interrupt that connection, and strength disappears instantly. Not slowly, not gradually, immediately. This is why these techniques were hidden. Because they were never about overpowering the opponent. They were about disconnecting the opponent. What you are about to see are 7 forbidden martial arts techniques. Techniques feared for centuries. Techniques designed not to damage muscle, but to shut down the human body itself. Technique 1. Brachial Plexus Origin Strike. On the side of the neck lies a fragile intersection of nerves called the brachial plexus origin. Ancient masters called it Kyusho, the vital point. This single location controls the signal flow between the brain and the arm. Every strike you throw depends on it. Every defense you raise depends on it. Every grip you rely on exists because of it. But when this point is struck with precision, the signal collapses instantly. The brain commands the arm to move, but the arm no longer responds. Strength disappears. Control vanishes. The limb becomes unreliable, disconnected. The opponent tries to react, but their own body betrays them. Because the nervous system has lost authority. This is not muscle failure. This is neurological shutdown. And once connection is lost, strength disappears completely. Technique 2. Mandibular Angle Strike. At the base of the jaw lies a structural weakness called the mandibular angle. Ancient warriors called it Ganmen Uchi, the face destruction strike. This point does not damage muscle. It destabilizes consciousness itself. When struck precisely, the skull accelerates violently. The brain cannot stabilize fast enough. Neural equilibrium collapses instantly. Vision fades. Balance disappears. Awareness shuts down without warning. This is the true mechanism behind knockouts. Not pain, not muscle damage, but neurological interruption. The nervous system shuts down automatically. The opponent does not choose to fall. Their brain simply loses the ability to keep them standing. Technique 3. Solar Plexus Strike. At the center of the torso lies a nerve convergence point called the solar plexus. Ancient masters called it Suigetsu Kyusho, the vital point of breath. This structure controls the diaphragm, the muscle responsible for breathing. Every breath depends on signals passing through this exact location. When struck precisely, the diaphragm spasms instantly. The lungs freeze. Air cannot enter. The opponent tries to breathe, but nothing happens. Panic takes over. The nervous system enters survival mode. Oxygen supply is interrupted. Strength disappears. Movement becomes impossible. Because without oxygen, the body cannot continue. The opponent collapses, not from pain, but from biological shutdown. Technique 4. Common peroneal nerve strike. Running along the outer thigh lies the common peroneal nerve. Ancient martial artists called it Ashi Kyusho, the leg vital point. This nerve controls lower limb movement and stability. When struck precisely, communication between brain and leg collapses instantly. The brain sends commands, but the signal cannot pass effectively. Strength disappears immediately. Stability vanishes completely. The opponent cannot maintain balance. Their foundation collapses beneath them. Without balance, the body cannot generate force. Without force, resistance ends. Because balance was never controlled by muscle alone, it was controlled by neural communication. Technique 5. Liver shot. Kageuchi. Hidden beneath the rib cage lies one of the body's most vulnerable organs, the liver. Ancient masters called it Kageuchi, the shadow strike, because the effect arrives moments later, invisible and unstoppable. When struck with precision, the liver compresses against the spine. The nervous system receives overwhelming distress signals instantly. The brain shifts priority from fighting to survival. Blood pressure drops suddenly. Strength drains from the legs. Stability disappears. The opponent remains standing for a moment, confused and frozen. And then, without warning, the body collapses. Not because they choose to fall, but because their nervous system forces shut down. Technique 6. Armbar hyperextension. Juji gatame. The elbow joint was never designed for unlimited motion. It was designed with limits. Ancient jujutsu masters called this juji gatame, the cross lock. When applied correctly, the arm is trapped and isolated. Pressure is applied in the one direction the joint cannot safely move. Structural integrity begins to fail. Ligaments cannot maintain stability. The limb becomes mechanically useless. Grip strength disappears instantly. Force generation becomes impossible. This is not pain compliance. This is structural shutdown. The opponent cannot continue fighting because their limb has lost functional integrity. Technique 7. Cervical spine rotation lock. Kubi kansetsu. The cervical spine protects the most critical communication pathway in the human body, the spinal cord. Every command, every movement, every reaction depends on signals traveling through this fragile structure. Ancient martial artists called this kubi kansetsu, the neck joint lock. When the cervical spine is forced beyond its safe range, communication begins to fail instantly. Signals cannot travel correctly. Coordination disappears. Strength fades. Control vanishes. The body becomes disconnected from itself. Because when the spinal cord loses integrity, the entire system shuts down. Everything you have seen was never about strength. It was never about size. It was never about power. It was about structure. Ancient martial artists understood the human body at its deepest level. They understood nerves. They understood joints. They understood survival itself. They knew victory did not belong to the strongest. It belonged to the one who understood anatomy, because the human body depends on fragile systems to function. Interrupt those systems, and the body shuts down instantly. This knowledge was never meant for ego. It was meant for survival. Because true martial artists do not seek conflict. They understand it, they control it, and when necessary, they end it. Subscribe now to continue uncovering the forbidden martial arts knowledge hidden for centuries.